There was an amazing story where at about, I guess it was about what, 4:30, right? Reuters puts out a video piece, and we'll link to it at Majority FM. Reuters puts out an amazing video piece saying Occupy Wall Street resurgence a dud. Now, this is what I was talking about early in the program. There was a legitimate news story here, and that is this movement, which captured the imagination of the country last fall, was essentially suppressed as city after city, in coordination with the feds, got the occupiers out of their encampments. And the question was, for months, at least weeks, we know that Occupy has been planning these May Day protests, marches, celebrations, however you want to call it. And the real question was, has Occupy matured from an organizational standpoint? And has the enthusiasm for Occupy, has it waned or has it grown? Has it stayed the same? What was happening? This is a very legitimate news question. And frankly, that's why I was so surprised I didn't see virtually any coverage of it on MSNBC. We saw it on Fox, and we know that they tried to say, well, it was just full of hooded vandals. And it's true in Seattle, where there has been a long history of black bloc tactics, far predating the existence of Occupy Wall Street. People took the opportunity of May Day to go out and smash some windows, which in my estimation, not terribly helpful, not very effective. We know in San Francisco there was some tension. There was protest there. Chicago, protests. Around the world, protests. So Reuters takes that question, perfectly legitimate question, is Occupy back? Puts out a piece at about 4:30 in the afternoon, emanating from New York now, saying Occupy a dud. And the video, you can tell, I mean, we were there in Bryant Park. The video was clearly from earlier in the day. Remember, it was raining till about 11:30 in New York City.
And on top of that, earlier in the day, there was about 50 different events going on all throughout the 5 boroughs, not just Manhattan.
We just heard Alexis Goldstein tell us about the 25 different protests that were happening. I know that when we hit the park, we saw a parade of 300 or 400 people leaving the park, and then it came back in about an hour and a half later. And meanwhile, we were also aware of actions happening on Park Avenue. We were aware of Wildcat marches that were happening downtown in Soho and Chinatown. And this was just the beginning. So Reuters, I guess, really wanted to file first. And, well, they came out with this video that said it was done. Let's play just a couple of seconds of it.
Occupy Wall Street was planning to make a big comeback, taking aim at old targets like Bank of America and headquarters of Rupert Murdoch's News Corp empire. But the demonstration lacked the crowds of the protests' early days, leading many to question if the movement has any movement left. Political strategist Henry Scheinkoff says the group's day in the spotlight is fading fast because it lacks one clear message everyday Americans can rally behind.
The Vietnam War movement, the anti-war movement excited people. People paid tremendous prices, went to jail, did all kinds of things. People were murdered to fight for civil rights. The farm workers movement, well, and even solidarity in Poland, people died in the course of creating a social and political movement that created an outcome. What's the outcome here? It's not clear. And when you're muddled, you lose.
All right, first of all, this guy who seems to know so much about these movements must know that none of the movements he was talking about, had he judged them 6 months in, would have achieved what he was talking about.
Well, interestingly enough, Jeff Smith, our very own Jeff Smith, did some research on this political strategist, Scheinkopf, and he's a former lobbyist for Bear Stearns.
Surprise, surprise.
Wow. So Reuters talks about the actions that happened at 8 a.m. in the rain, says that they weren't that well attended, just a couple hundred people, then goes to a former lobbyist for investment bankers and finds out that this is a problem with this movement. It's not going anywhere, releases this video at 3 in the afternoon. Apparently, now remember, this guy shoots the video, then he goes back to his office, sits there with an editor and cuts. I think he left Bryant Park because that was the last footage I saw. I think he left Bryant Park somewhere around the time, just a little bit before we did, based upon the pictures that I saw. So he's leaving at about 12:30, comes out with this report at about 4. It's tweeted out. People are like, a dud. Meanwhile, people who are reading this tweet are sitting amongst literally 10,000 people in Union Square and growing.
I was in Union Square when I saw that tweet come out, and that tweet spread throughout the people there, and people were just like, "What? Where is this person? What event are they at?"
And at about 4 o'clock when this thing came out was just when the throngs of people are heading to Union Square. They start to march down. It took something like 40 minutes. Like people at the front of the march had been marching for 40 minutes, and there were still thousands of people in Union Square waiting to get into the march. They shut down Broadway from 14th Street, I think south of Houston. And so you're talking about 10, 20, 30,000 people, I think easily. And you were at that biggest union protest. How would you place it?
Oh, I've never seen Union Square that packed before in my life. I mean, you literally could not move. Like, it wasn't like you were at, like, a protest event or even, like, an all-day festival where, like, you just see a lot of people and you're moving throughout a crowd. Like, you could not move throughout that crowd. It was packed shoulder to shoulder. 15,000 people. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean,
So can we safely say, Reuters, your report, a dud?
The funny thing is, about an hour later, they put out a second tweet with linking to a story that said, Occupy Wall Street's resurgence, far from a dud.
Wow, that's a big correction. Far from a dud. How about saying a massive success?